Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Iconic. I'm here with Matt Rogers, the Prince of Christmas. Matt has a new album out. Matthew, how are you today?
I love that you call me Matthew. Is
Is
this a
that
thing
okay?
because it's totally fine and you've asked before and I've said it is?
Okay.
Is this because you call your lover Matthew?
Yeah, I like I'm a big fan in general of like extend like someone's proper name. I don't know. I think there's something fun about it.
You like Daniel?
No, I don't like Daniel, but I like calling other people that. Does that make sense?
You like being sort of in the power position when it comes to other people's names. It's almost like you're like Sutton in that you can give it but you can't take it.
Wait, what are you thinking of Sutton? Let's just get into that right now.
I think this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm Team Kyle on this one.
Right.
Like, it just feels like this idea that I can't believe we're already getting into it, but
I
like,
know, I'm
yeah.
sorry. We're going to talk about the album and
No,
everything. Don't
no,
worry.
it's fine. I've been talking about the album ad nauseum. You know why I'm here.
And by the way, I'm
Um,
asking you about Joy Behar in a second too, because that's one of the things I'm most excited about talking to you.
it's
But go to Sutton
so
first.
funny. Okay, we'll get to it. But in terms of Sutton and Kyle, like this idea that Kyle doesn't share, she's been sharing for 13 years. She's been on this show for a really long time. We've seen the good, the bad, the ugly with Kyle. We literally saw her out her sister for her alcoholism on television season 1. Like, we've seen the ups and downs with her family that she's obviously close to for years. Like, the thing about Kyle not sharing about her relationship is because it's never been in jeopardy like this before. Like, now it's actually in trouble. And also, like, Sutton doesn't realize this right now, but we're seeing Kyle's life. We're seeing the uncomfortable conversations she's having with Mo. We're seeing her and Morgan Wade at the tattoo parlor. You know, we're seeing her deal with this stuff. Like, she's just not coming to the dinner table and doing it in the way that Sutton wants her to do it. And so I just find it really difficult to be on Sutton's side when the argument is Kyle doesn't share. And also, like, there's this inability on her part to see, like, she herself, Sutton, is self-centered to the max. I mean, we've, like, how can we forget the way that she acted after Dorit had her home invasion
Oh yeah,
and
that was
expect that this
wild.
is someone that, like, is someone to trust in this situation? Like,
I
I'm
would
so
also
up and down
argue
with Sutton.
I would argue that Sutton really hasn't shown much of her own life on the show because, of course, her kids aren't really on it, and I don't know if that has to do with the relationship with the ex-husband, but there, I mean, in terms of like personal storyline, I don't know that we've really gotten a lot out of Sutton. So if that is the argument against Kyle of like you haven't shown your life, it's like, well, Sutton, like, what are we really? I don't know, but I
Sutton
do love
is like,
Sutton for the show.
I mean, I love Sutton for the show too. She's one of my favorites. Like, I but I go up and down with her in terms of being on her side, and I find it incredibly difficult to understand her when she acts like this.
Right.
Like, I just feel like, and we saw it even at the weed dinner, which was iconic, with her lighting a blunt at the table and smoking marijuana on television on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and then several weeks before she was scandalized even sitting at the audience at a Magic Mike show. It's just so, it's very funny, but then when it comes at the expense of like someone's actual privacy and happiness, and I'm not saying that Kyle has been a saint, obviously she hasn't, like, she plays the game like everyone else, but it's just a weird, it's a weird dynamic to me because Sutton obviously is not coming at this from, you know, the most friendly vantage point, but
Yeah.
I guess you could argue that Kyle has put Sutton in these positions before too. It's just weird to watch them at this like sort of standoff when we know what the game is and we know what's up.
Who do you
But
think
like,
plays the game the best on the show? Like, not who you like the best, not who you like the worst. Like, who do you think plays the game of Housewives the best on The Real Houses of Beverly Hills?
honestly, I think that Garcelle does a really good job of mixing it up and being involved, and also in her personal storyline, remaining sympathetic, likable, and really fun to follow. I
Yeah.
will say, I know that people are like, yes, Garcelle, go for it, Garcelle, about her being like, with the insinuation about Dorit's robbery. Like, the only time I've noticed jewelry
Oh,
is
see, I
when
thought that
Dorit
was
still
mean.
had all of hers. I thought it was so mean.
Yeah, I thought it
I
was
thought
mean.
I thought it I thought it was beyond the pale. And I do think that she I think that Garcelle and Dorit, it's just not happening. And I think that she has a little bit of a right to come for her after the way Dorit treated her about, when Garcelle tried to open up about her children and all that stuff. But that to me was a low blow.
And I thought it came across,
a low blow.
It came across as more mean too, I think, because we haven't
Petty.
seen that from Garcelle. And so I think if it were to come from someone like Sutton, I don't know that it would have hit as hard for me hearing it, but just because Garcelle has pretty much stayed out of that, I haven't seen a low blow out of Garcelle, I don't think. And that to me felt like you said a low blow. But I love Garcelle too.
I love Garcelle too. I think that like with Dorit, whenever she like acts up, it's out of like an ignorance. And the last thing I would say about Garcelle is that she's ignorant. I think Garcelle is super smart, and I think she knew what she was doing there, which makes me feel like, oh man, you didn't need to go to the, you didn't need to, like, I get it. They went low. You went to hell on that one. Like, because the insinuation is that she's making up the robbery, right? I mean, that's the insinuation.
Well, and I'd rather somebody say that in person. Some of the frustrating things about the Real House of Beverly Hills, even in that dinner with Kyle at the weed dinner, where it was like everybody wanted to talk about this thing that they knew they had to bring up. Production, I think, probably prepped all of them and said, we need to get this out about Kyle's marriage. And yet it still felt like such a struggle to get out. And so even something like the robbery, if that is a storyline that everyone's speculating on that you want to come up on the show, like let's say it to Dorit at the table and just like blurt it out when it comes up instead of, I don't know. Yeah.
I think that it's especially Beverly Hills.
What's going on with Dorit's finances too, by the way?
I don't know. I've never known. I've literally never known. But I think with Beverly Hills especially, they have a really hard time getting to it. Like they have a really hard time like actually arriving at the point of conflict and contention. They beat around the bush a lot. And that can often be really fun. It's just, it seems like often with this franchise, and I'm really enjoying the season, I will say. I love the last couple episodes. I think it's great. But we get to this frustrating part where we all as an audience know what's coming and it feels like it's percolating, but we have this like string of episodes which is like the ladies all beating around the bush about it, and it feels like that's where we're at right now, and I have no doubts that we're going to get there soon. And like, obviously the Kyle stuff is already unraveling. But I just feel like we're in an awkward part of the narrative right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and with Beverly Hills, that part can feel extra slow, which is why I think it's great that like there's so many cameos right now. There's so much fun stuff happening because like if Denise hadn't been at that dinner and, Faye hadn't been at that dinner and like all those things hadn't been happening, that dinner episode wouldn't have been as great as we were all anticipating it would be. Like it gave... But it wouldn't have given had all that extra stuff not been happening. I
always think Beverly Hills gives us like 3 good seasons or 3 good episodes per season, but then everything else is like really bad. And it's like we remember sort of those highs. So for this season, for instance, it's like I think the dinner party was fantastic TV. I thought it was great. But then it's like it's in a sea of like bad stuff. Whereas some of the other franchises like Salt Lake City to me will kind of deliver each episode, maybe not at the highs that like the weed dinner party gave us on Beverly Hills, but I feel like it is a little more consistent. On Beverly Hills, every season feels like, oh, we got 3 like amazing episodes or a really good reunion, but then there's like so much filler because everything goes slow at snail's pace. And I guess that's sort of the nature of Beverly Hills, is where everyone keeps everything bottled up and then it explodes at one moment.
Yeah, I think what I love about Beverly Hills is I genuinely love watching their lives, and I think they are my favorite individual group of women. Like I actually like watching all of what's going on, whereas like with other I've actually stopped watching Potomac, just full disclosure. Like I no longer watch it. I cannot watch most of the cast anymore, and I just don't support morally the direction that the conflict is going in, so I'm not watching it anymore, which sucks, but it's just the way it is.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain morally the...
Oh yeah, no. I don't like that NECA and Wendy are being pitted against each other based on heritage. I don't like the religious like thing that's happening here. I really didn't like the editing of the scene at the end of the episode a couple weeks ago where they were putting this like mystical music on top of Wendy's mother as she was like, leading,
a family prayer,
a religious service, a
at
family prayer.
event.
Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's really disrespectful. And I think that there's no way that on the outset, Wendy would have signed up for something like that was going to try to humiliate her mother, someone that she obviously cares about a lot and whose faith is very important to her. I just think like it's all gone in a really ugly direction. I don't believe that Giselle is a good person. And I think that Ashley is, I've always thought she was diabolical, but this has gone to another level. Also, the Robin of it all. I know it sounds like I'm watching the show. I really haven't watched it in a few weeks. Someone that's so inactive and doesn't want her life to improve. It's like, okay, well then what are we watching this for?
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
Spot.
Like,
it's in a rough spot.
It's in a really bad spot. I think it's actually in a worse spot than the old New York was. And so I'm not watching it anymore. I also just don't believe that they're friends. I do not believe that they're friends. I believe that Robin and Giselle are friends. I believe that all of them, like given the choice, wouldn't hang out with each other outside of that.
And I think this is such an interesting conversation too, because anytime this comes up of like, well, they're not friends, then the argument could kind of be like, well, it's a TV show. And of course, nobody on any of these friends, but there still has to be like a thread, like, right? Like they need to give the audience like a thread. That doesn't mean we have to watch 7 people who are our absolute best friends during filming, off filming, whatever. But we have to believe that that could be the case. And I feel like with Potomac
at least be able
season,
to fake it.
Yeah, with Potomac, like I can't even pretend.
No.
These people are, and they're not even giving me anything to like kind of latch on to make it feel easy as the audience to believe that they're friends. It's like very clear cut of there are these 2 different people. It seems like nobody wants to film with each other. Candace feels like she's on a separate show. Wendy is on a separate show. Karen Huger's trying to sort of bring everyone together. I feel like this is a rough season. But at a certain point,
it's like gotten so ugly that even the attempts to bring them together feel like that's not genuine. You know what I mean? Because the genuine thing would be once someone has come in and tried to like ruin your life and ruin your marriage and ruin like, you know, your mother's reputation. It's like at a certain point, like you as someone who's trying to be a go-between between me and that person think it's in my best interest to sit down with this woman and make amends. It's not. I can tell you it's not.
Right.
And it's been like that for years. So it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I get in trouble with some Bravo fans about being constantly harping on the Green-Eyed Bandits and like Ashley about how I think that they're not good for the show. You? Oh, they don't like me at all. I mean, the Green-Eyed Bandits fans don't like me at all, and the Teresa fans don't like me at all. But the thing with Teresa is I understand her as a fundamental fabric part of that show. I wish things were different in the way that she acted sometimes, and I wish that things played out differently. But I think that Teresa is a necessary and integral part of Bravo. You know what I mean? Whereas like, and I've always said like, you know, if Teresa doesn't want to be on that show anymore, spin it off. But like with the Green-Eyed Bandits, like I don't want to see them on television anymore. I don't believe they have good intentions. I'm disgusted with Robin's husband about what happened with him while he was coach of his team. I think that people should really understand that the truth of what happened there and then make their judgments about it and not take at face value what he's saying on the show, because it's a way to make himself feel better about the fact that like he buried sexual assault allegations on his team when it came to a coach having inappropriate relations or attempted inappropriate relations with one of his players. I mean, I guess all of this is alleged, so I'll say that, but like he did get fired from that job. So go ahead and make your own conclusions. I'm just disgusted with the people on that show and I don't want any part of it. And that's all I have to say about Potomac.
Matthew, not to go backwards to Beverly Hills, but also I just have to get your take on Denise of it all, because I know that's a big shift, but to me, there were some moments in this past week's dinner party episode with Denise that I thought were some of the funniest to ever appear on Bravo. Like I'm not just talking about this week or this season or whatever. The coat thing with Dorit, to me, like that is like better than any scripted comedy anyone could write. Like it's so perfect. Yeah. Then when she said that, there was like a small moment where she said, thank you and you're welcome at the same. She's like, thank you, you're welcome. And she says that herself.
You're welcome.
And it's like, that is the funniest thing. Like, that is so funny. It's so good.
It's what I loved too is that I do think Dorit was genuinely like, is your coat upside down? And Denise was like, don't do this. I know what you're doing. It's like, oh, wow. So she's come on so on guard about like what happened last season. And here's the thing. I did get what Denise was saying, and I thought it was really glib of all the women to be like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, they were gaslighting her in that moment. Like, Denise was saying Erica was nasty to her out of allegiance to Rinna, and
But
it was
why
the whole
couldn't
Denise
Denise
and
say
Rinna
that?
thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But I loved every second of it. I loved, you know what I'm talking about.
You know
And then
what I'm
the like, and I also was like, what was it that she was on? Like, did you think she pre-gamed with a little bit of like weed, or was it like a benzo? What was happening?
It did not feel like weed or alcohol to me. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know
It felt
what.
like
It felt
maybe
like
she took
something
like
else.
anti-anxiety medication or something. I don't want to speculate, but like
Yeah.
it was.
I'll say, like, for me, the closest I recognize to it is like when you take a Xanax and get on a plane and have like a drink on the plane. Like, that to me was like kind of how I felt like I would be after I get on a plane with like more than one Xanax, or like
it was like she was like seeing double or something. You know what I mean? It was like everything was happening fuzzy, and I can't imagine how it must have been for the other women who were all a little bit high to be looking at her and being like, you know, because sometimes it's like when you're high and someone else is like on another level, it like warps your perspective. Like, forget about it like ruining your buzz. Like, it's kind of just like, wait, am I gonna become like that one at 1 second from now? Like, should I be like that? Like, did I not eat this correctly? Do I need more? Like, it had to be very disorienting.
But even before she even sat down at that table, like when her and Camille got out of that car, I was like, oh, she's fucked up. Like, and she kept addressing cameras directly at the beginning, which was, I don't know, it was just bizarre. And the funniest thing to me was that she like filmed the next day after that horrifying, humiliating dinner. Like, any other person would have gotten home from that and they would have turned to their big dick husband, Aaron, and been like, I can't believe I did that on camera. But she just, like, fresh as a daisy the next day, showed up to lunch with Garcelle and the gang.
I think probably a little part of her, A, didn't realize it went that bad, and B, was just like, you know, like, whatever. I don't think she gives a fuck. That's, I think, what I love about Denise is I think that she's like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, and I think that, like, I think I'm at the point of genuinely believing her that nothing happened with Brandy, because it just felt like if something would have happened, she would have maybe said something.
Yeah, she wouldn't care.
She shows up as pretty much herself, like, in all other ways. So I just don't know. Like, and I think that she is like a little traumatized from the fact that like the last time she was around these women, they like really were dogs with a bone with this thing that she just couldn't really participate in because it either wasn't true or like she didn't think it was that big of a deal. And so when they were all like, you know, galvanized about this Denise thing, she kind of was just like, what is happening? Right. So maybe that's why she showed up a little bit wonky, and maybe that's why she wants to continue now. I mean, obviously there's more, because we haven't gotten to the part where she goes, you are one evil woman, to Erica. So there's more to come.
Did you see her interview with Bethenny? I only saw a clip of it, but like,
I watched the whole thing.
Oh my God. I felt like Bethenny thought she was going to get like one thing out of Denise, and Denise was not giving her that thing. And it was so funny to me.
I think that Bethenny has thought she'd get a lot more out of everything that she's doing than she would get. I mean,
did you see that? That one piece from the cut was like
sad.
The one piece that came out. I think it was the cut. Oh my God, it was a must read. Okay, wait, Matthew.
I actually saw the cut too. Was it the one where she referred to herself as
Erin Brockovich?
The Erin Brockovich, yeah, I did read that. And I just think it's so funny that she keeps talking to these journalists who then turn around and write these pieces about her, like, because it shows a true lack of self-awareness, I think. Like, she is not the right messenger for this. There is hours and hours of footage of her being the worst perpetrator of women on women, like, verbal violence ever. Like, it's just, and I know she keeps calling it her penance, but do it privately. You know what I mean? Like, do it privately if you feel like you have something to repay. It's just with her, it's just, I never believe that it's coming from a benevolent place, I guess. I don't know.
All right, not to change the subject, but I got to talk about Joy Behar. So you're just on The View, which we love The View here. And so I hadn't watched it. And I just started seeing last night, like, these headlines of you pop up, and it was like a split screen of Joy Behar looking mad and you looking more serious. And it was like Joy Behar yells at Matt Rogers or tells him to shut up or something. So explain this to the listeners and also just
So
take
what
me through
happened
it
was,
moment to moment.
in my pre-interview, the producers were like, "Is it true you were on the plane coming back from the Bahamas with?" But I was with Bowen. We did an episode of The View in the Bahamas last year, and everyone got along great. It was wonderful. And then we were getting on the plane, and we're on the plane. We're sitting behind Joy, and Joy has her shoes off, barefoot, and her feet up on the wall. And I was like, "This is so funny.
On
She's
the wall
so
of the plane,
unapologetic."
like she was at the
like
front
in front
seat,
of her,
the first seat.
she was in the front seat, and her
Okay.
feet were like up next to the screen, almost like the
Okay.
computer, the TV screen. And I was like, "Wow, she is unapologetic. Like she is just, her feet are up and out." And
Do you
I'm
remember what
thinking
she
to
was
myself,
watching? Was she watching?
"No, I
something
don't
on the
remember."
screen?
But I
it was
do
up
remember
there.
Sunny was watching Z-Way, which I thought was really
Oh.
cool.
So Joy's hoof was up. Sunny's watching Z-Way.
Both
and you're
hooves
behind
out.
them.
And can I say, gorgeous feet, amazing.
Famously
And I'm
good
behind
feet,
them.
actually, because Matthew McConaughey has multiple times on The View massaged them.
She's got great feet.
It's like a thing.
I would trust me, if my feet looked like that, and they really don't. I would have them up and out too in the air.
Wait, do you have bad feet?
I don't have good feet.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think I have good feet. I guess it's not really for me to say, but well, right now, no, I can't say this.
Now you have to
I'll just
say
say it. No, I'll be honest. Right now, I have athlete's foot.
Okay. So
So
they're
no
not
one wants
pretty
to
feet.
see my
so we
feet,
don't
and I
want
would-
those up on a plane.
No, I would never put them on the walls of a plane.
I
For
love that
fear
you
of
just. I'll just say
infection.
it. I'll just say it. It was
I'll
like a
just say it.
dramatic.
This is the thing. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide.
Right, open book.
But anyway, so they asked my pre-interview, like, "Oh my God, that's so funny. That thing with her feet, you have to say it." I was like, "Okay." So I said, "Girl, why were your feet why were you barefoot on the plane?" And she turns to me under her breath and goes, "Shut up. Don't tell them that." And I was just like, "What?"
So did in your brain when
And
that
then
was
she brought
happening,
it up again.
Did you think she was kidding, or what did you think?
First of all, she was kidding because she laughed about it like within the same breath of the interview. Like I was
And then
like,
brought it up again, so it was clear.
She brought it up again. She was like, "Well, I don't know if we're friends now after you outed me." And I was like, "Are you mad at me?" I was like, "No, come on." I was like, Joy, your feet were up and out and proud." And then she started to laugh, and we laughed about it. Okay, so I don't know, Page 6, Entertainment Weekly, they can report on whatever they want, those gotcha headlines, but we had a good time.
With The View in particular, like that show, I always, because I'm a big fan of The View, and when I was on Las Culturistas, we talked about The View extensively, but I watch it every day. And so I think a lot of times when I see headlines, I'm like, that's so misrepresentative of what happened, especially it doesn't happen so much anymore. That's why I loved this moment so much, because since Meghan McCain left, it just doesn't get headlines like it used to. And so when I do see it, I like that you are a part of it. It just made me happy because that got picked up everywhere.
It was so funny. I mean, like it was just so funny because I was like, wow, it couldn't have been less an issue. But the way that they did grab the screen and it looked like us like looking at each other, like there was like all conflict. I was like, it wasn't like that. But listen, whatever. I mean,
it's too.
I haven't talked to like, I don't know. I guess I've talked to my publicist about it and see how she feels. I think it's all fine.
When I went back and actually like watched it, I was like, oh, it wasn't like it was completely misrepresented, but it's funny to me that it was. Okay, wait. I mean,
it is what it is.
Are you dating anyone right now? Are you seeing anyone?
No, I'm single. I'm single as hell. It's not that I'm not looking. It's just that I've been sort of like busy with this and it's taken up a lot of time, like the Christmas of it all. And also, I don't know, I went through something last year and now I think I'm just more guarded than I ever have been. Like I'm a little bit more safe with letting people in or getting super excited about things because I've been the most excited and the most unguarded and then got hurt pretty badly. So,
did someone like screw you over, or was it just like
it wasn't that. It was just a bad it just didn't end the way I ever thought it would. It was not malicious. It was just, it was just not the ending I pictured. And it was sort of fast. And the whole relationship was fast. And so now I'm just like, it's more of a personal thing of like, all right, if there's things to notice them. Don't ignore because you think, it's just whatever, you know what I mean? It's just one of those learning experiences. They say like when you get your heart broken, it grows back stronger and then you'll be able to give more to the next person. I'm like hoping that's true.
I asked because last time you were on the show, I got like more than one. I mean, it was like multiple messages being like, you should have asked Matt about his dating, and like the guys, your people like you. Like there's single guys out there who want to shoot their shot. So for those single men out there, yeah, what works for you, or like what? I suppose what are you attracted to, but also like
honesty.
Yeah, like so can someone DM you and then be like, oh, let's go out or something, or does that make sense?
People can DM me. I mean, people can definitely DM me, and I think like we'll start a conversation. Like, don't expect it. I'm just gonna answer a DM and be like, "Yeah, let's hang out." But I mean, like, I don't know. I'm open to whatever. Like, someone said to me earlier. Actually, an astrologer said to me earlier. It's like Miranda said in Sex and the City. You have to. It's dating in New York. Dating is like hailing a cab in New York. You have to have your light on for someone to get in. And I was like, really? Miranda said that? I feel so unlike Miranda. Ugh. She'd be like, dating is like hailing a cab in New York. You're in constant traffic, and no one knows what the fuck they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's more Miranda.
I love your Miranda voice. That you just.
By the way, how funny was it that I was on the same episode of Cynthia Nixon?
I know. Wait, did you see her, or was it like filmed separately?
I saw her, but she was leaving as I was going in, and it was like not an opportunity for me to go up and talk to her. But I would have went up to her and said, one of my biggest accomplishments was getting my dad, my very, at the time, very Cuomo type father, Long Island dad, to vote for Cynthia Nixon in the primary for governor a few years ago. So that was like a big moment for me, and I wanted to tell her that. I wish she'd run for mayor against Eric Adams, who's the worst we've ever had.
I ran into you at BravoCon very briefly, and I wish I could have gotten to hang out with you a little more.
I know,
everything was like
me
so
too.
Crazy there. But did you have fun at BravoCon? What was your experience?
I had the best time. Like? You look amazing, by the way.
You
and I see you in the gym, and like you look great.
Thank you.
I had such a fun time. I really wish I could have stayed longer. I will say it was like being at Disney World and watching like all the mascots walk around, but they never take off their hat to reveal they're not really Mickey Mouse. It was like actually Alexia. You know what I mean? It was like actually her. Who was your favorite person that you met that you hadn't met before?
All those Miami women I hadn't met, or I interviewed a couple of them maybe on Zoom or something over the years, but being with them all in person, because I do love Miami a lot.
Love Miami.
I think they're so beautiful, and I don't know.
They're amazing.
Whenever I watch their show, like I feel like I get the sunshine, and I think it just sort of sparks my serotonin in a weird way. So then just like seeing them all together in person in their like bright colored outfits and stuff really just instantly boosted. And I thought it just sort of connected it to the show. Like it wasn't even about seeing them in person. It was just like, I was reminded of the sunshine of Miami or something. So it was fun to see them. And then Lisa Barlow, I had just done Watch What Happens Live with. So getting to see her, I was like, oh, we're besties. In my head,
I got to meet her too. It was so fun. John is so handsome.
I know. I thought he was kind of handsome too, which I wasn't expecting.
Oh no! I don't know. I had only heard that he was more handsome in person, and then he really was. I was like, wow, he's very handsome. Okay. And then I will say, Shannon Bedore was so lovely to me. Like she came up to me and she was like, she said she was a fan of I Love That For You. She said that she loved watching me on Watch What Happens Live. She was so kind. And
she had a lot of damage control to do that weekend.
She did. And I also think I had just been on Watch What Happens Live, and I had kind of said that she was not well, because I don't think she was well last season. And I'm looking forward to next season, if she's on, I'm sure she will be, to see her in a healthier spot, because I think Shannon's awesome. And I think she was in a bad relationship, and I think we didn't see it, and she was protective of it because she was in denial. And I'm excited to see her in a fresher spot.
I'm a little worried
more control over what's going on.
I'm concerned with the Alexis thing with John, because it's been rumored that they're dating now, which to me, I feel like they really are just dating to get on the show. The two of them.
Oh, 100%. But that should say everything about John. Like that should say everything about him.
But it is very, to me, obvious that that's what's happening. But also at the same time, normally I'd be not okay with it, but I'm totally okay with it. But I'm worried about Shannon. Like I think it'll be great TV, but it's not going to be good for Shannon.
No, I don't think so. And did you hear Vicky commented on it? She was like very angry about it.
Oh my God, I can't wait. But
I know we need it.
Was there anyone that was not nice to you at BravoCon? Did you have any bad experiences?
I didn't have any bad experiences. I would say it was very clear, and this is let me stress, this is fine. It was very clear Dorit did not know who I was, and that's fine. But I went up to her and because I do think Dorit is hilarious, and so I went up to her and I said hi, and I think she was just like, gives me the impression that she's like a little like shy or overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Lisa Hochstein, I went up to, I said, Lisa, I love you. And she was like, thanks. And she kind of just like turned the other way. But that's fine. I didn't have any bad experiences. Honestly, if I was going to have a bad experience with them, I turned and walked away. Like, I there was a couple of them I saw where I just said to my friend Riri, I was like, we got to go.
Yeah, what's the point?
I'm not dealing. You know.
You mentioned I Love That For You, and I'm so devastated. I love that show too. If people haven't watched it, go watch it on. Is it on Showtime? Like all the episodes.
You can't watch it on Paramount Plus or Showtime anymore. They took them down. I guess you have to go on like Amazon now and buy them, or iTunes or whatever. You can
it'd still be worth it to buy it.
Absolutely. I mean, like, it's such a great show. It's so disappointing, but like, such is how television is right now. I loved doing the show. Mm-hmm. I was hopeful that maybe it would find another home, but I'm not really sure. It's obvious. I'm obviously just an actor on it, so I don't know what's happening. Yeah. But I think if it were going to continue, I probably would have heard by now. Yeah. It just was bad timing with it got canceled and then the strikes, and that went on so long, and so
and with the discourse so toxic, in the words of your character.
Exactly. The discourse is really toxic.
Oh, that was my favorite.
And also, can I just say,
all the time, by the way,
can I just say, no part of me wants to feel that way about Potomac. And also, like, I'm so obsessed with all the other franchises right now. I think Beverly Hills is fucking amazing. I think Miami's been great. Like, Salt Lake is having its best season ever, I think. Like, it just sucks because Potomac at one point was my favorite, and now it's just I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the show has grinded away at the women, but I just can't anymore.
I think sometimes they need to get ahead of the cast changes. Like, even though the audience might seem like we like the whole cast, I think sometimes it's still better to change things up before it gets to this point. Where
I don't even. Well, how would you fix Potomac?
Oh, I think I actually think getting rid of Giselle would be really. I'm a big fan of putting people on pause. Let me just say that, like, of just taking them out for a season or two and then bringing them back. And I think that would change, getting rid of Giselle for even just a season. And I know she brings so much to the show, and people love her, whatever. But I think taking her out of the dynamic would, and also maybe even demoting Robin, or if you were going to keep one of them around, I would my toxic discourse would be like, get rid of Giselle instead of Robin, because that's going to shake up everybody. Like, I think that would be it would force everyone to kind of do something a little different. I think Giselle just has too much of a hold on like what's going on that show.
Yeah, I think she's just the queen bee in a way that's no longer productive, because especially a show that like where it's about like conflict and resolution, like she's in no way even trying to do that with Wendy in a way that feels like bullying to me. Yeah. Like, every time Wendy is around these women, I'm worried for her.
I'm a big Wendy fan too, and that's not popular right now.
I love Wendy.
We're putting our lives on the line right now by saying that, because I trust.
But how weird is that? How many times do we have to watch Wendy be sat down by Ashley season after season at the beginning and told like that the conflict is going to be focused on her and her family again? Like, it's like, I feel like we have deja vu about like that time when they brought in that shit about the blogs about Eddie cheating, which obviously didn't happen. It's just like all this made up bullshit when like the real shit that's going on is like not on the show.
Yeah, the Ashley's husband situation and Juan and Michael Darby, like all that stuff is really going on in their lives, and I feel like nobody's talking about it, and that's frustrating. Right. So we're focusing on this other stuff, and I mean, just to go back to what you said about like Wendy's mom, and that's one of the things, reasons why I could never be on one of these shows, because it's like, you could say whatever about me, but like if I have to like listen to other people say bad things about like a parent, I just would lose it. Like, I couldn't handle that. Because also, even if your parent is sort of in the wrong, like your natural instinct is going to be to protect them too, because they're your immediate family. And so I feel like that's what I'm witnessing from Wendy, is like, she's trying to, I think, figure out like not only what the situation is, because I don't know that she exactly understood it, but then also having to like defend the situation without understanding it all. I don't know.
Well, it really is all Ashley's fault, because Ashley brought in this whole thing of Osu. And that was like a serious thing for like people of Nigerian descent. I mean, like, if you look at what Wendy has been saying about it, this is like a serious accusation and like a serious thing that like would bring shame upon the name of one of their families. And so probably she did turn around and tell her family that that happened because she was frustrated. And then out of anger and frustration and personal hurt, maybe her mother did do something or say the wrong thing. But then it's all about like, when the mother reaches out to you, are you actually going to turn around and bring that on the show? Like, it just feels all weird to me and messed up.
Yeah. And narratively, I don't know if you saw the last episode or two, but the narratively,
the last two.
It's frustrating narratively too, because we're basically talking about people who aren't on the show, because we're talking about like a cousin and someone who was at this, like we're seeing even text messages between people who aren't cast members. And it's like, right. I can barely grasp when they're showing me a text message between like Karen and Ashley, let alone one where I'm supposed to be reading a text message between like Wendy's sibling and someone's cousin or whoever it is.
Yeah, it's like unreliable storytelling. It's like unreliable storytelling about people who are no longer
and they wouldn't
real
do that.
And likable.
If they had other stuff, they wouldn't do that. Production they wouldn't show text messages between people who aren't on the show, but they have nothing else that the women are bringing to this show. We got to talk about your holiday album, Matthew.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about it. I love it.
Well, I'm joining you in the holiday spirit because I haven't gotten a chance to read the book because I've been busy yet, but I'm super excited and thank you for sending it to me.
Sure. You'll get to it when you get to it. I know how busy you are.
But yeah, I have an album out. It's called Have You Heard of Christmas?
Is that a weird thing for you to say that you have an album out? I mean, I'm so excited.
It was in the beginning. It was in the beginning because it's just like, I don't know. There's something different about like stream my single than watch my show. You know what I mean? Like, and I was talking about this yesterday with some people. Like, I think it's like, I just can't believe it got this far. And also there's that little gay boy inside me who's like still shy about saying I want to do music or I want to do anything. You know what I mean? And so like now that I've gotten to the place, it's like that little final push about being like confident about saying like, yes, here's my album that I worked hard on. It's like I equal parts worked hard on the music and the comedy. You know what I mean? Like so I finally gotten to the point now where I'm comfortable calling myself like a singer and a comedian and an actor and a writer in equal measure. You know what I mean? It's just, I've worked so hard for it, but it's still hard to wrap your head around that it's like.
And for listeners who might not be as familiar, the album, it's a holiday album, and you had this holiday special that aired on Showtime last year that was fantastic too. But the album really does mix comedy with your phenomenal vocals and writing and all of that kind of stuff too.
Thank you. And yeah, I guess, it's like a hybrid comedy pop Christmas album. And Capitol Records put it out, and I think it was a little bit of a risk and a roll of the dice on paper. So I'm really grateful to them for doing this with me. And also, they didn't really give me any notes on the creative or the music. They just let me fucking go for it. I worked with one of my dear friends, Leland, on it. You might have seen him on Drag Race all the time. He does like all the musicals. He also produced Troye Sivan's album. He's worked with Selena Gomez. He co-wrote Rare. And he's worked with Carrie Underwood and Kelsey Ballerini and like countless artists. And he's the coolest. And we had such a good time making it. And then at the end of it,
is that a leather couch? Wait, is that a leather couch? Are you on a leather couch? I just heard.
No, I'm on.
Oh, okay.
I'm on what is very much only a bed.
I was just thinking I could hear, it sounded like you were moving on leather, which can sound like a fart. I know you were just moving. It wasn't a fart, but I was just wanted to point out for listeners.
And I don't fart. For all the people that are going to get in my DMs and potentially inquire about whether I'm single or not, I also don't fart. I'm a fartless single gay man.
Farting, but I could hear like it was picking up a little like a sound like a fart, and I was like, "Oh, people are going to."
Okay, you know what? I'm going to actually. I'm going back. I do fart. I'm real. Okay. If you want to date me, I'm real. Flaws and all, Beyonce style. Okay.
What type?
I'm not perfect.
Wait, what physically do you have a type? Like, do you?
I don't have a physical type. I don't. I mean, I guess like, I mean, someone that takes care of themselves, but even that could mean anything. You know what I mean? I don't have like a physical type. Whoever's just comfortable in their own skin and like has like a pride in their presentation, like I'm good with it. If I'm attracted to you, you could look like anything or be anybody. Really, seriously.
What do you want to do next? Is there plans for new music or what?
I
do you
hope
want?
to make new
Yeah.
music for sure. I hope to make another comedy album. I signed like a 3-album deal, so I guess like it depends on how well the first one does, and so far so good. But then what I'm really excited about is lots of really exciting stuff for the podcast next year, and also growing that, which is my
Las
podcast, Las
Culturistas,
Culturistas, with
the
Bo and Yang.
best.
Thank you. And we still have fun doing it, which is great. And then like other stuff with Bowen, I'm really excited about. And now that the strikes are over, we can get back to, doing all that. I actually have my first audition since the strike in 3 hours.
Are you ready?
So
for
it's
it?
like, I mean, I think so. I think I'm just gonna have fun and like go for it, like, because now it's like it's at the point now where it's just like, all right, you kind of know who I am now. If you want me to do it, you'll want me to do it. If I'm not right for it, that's cool.
Right.
Which is a nice place to be at. But I'm just excited about, there being like possibility in the entertainment industry again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just felt so shitty there for a while.
For a very long time. Between even before the strikes and having the COVID stuff, it just feels like anyone creatively who's trying to get anything off the ground, it's been a nightmare and a slog. So, I mean, it's incredible getting your album and everything off the ground, because
luckily I had that. And like that was already percolating, and I didn't even need to like pivot to it. That was already happening. So weirdly enough, like if the strike was going to happen at a perfect time, at least it was now, where I had this other thing. But I'm just super excited because a lot of my friends were really struggling. Like you just saw LA take a total nosedive, like economically, like
people having to move. And I had so many friends who had to move or put their, get to
it's not good.
It was sad. Yeah. Tough.
And I just feel like it's going to be really exciting to get back to that, because as much as I love having a full schedule of Bravo, you know who I met yesterday? Craig Conover and Paige DeSorbo.
Oh my God. Did you find Craig so much more attractive in person?
I've always thought he was hot. Okay. He's really hot in person. Yeah. And Paige is adorable.
Paige is stunning too. Yeah, I love Paige.
Oh my God, she's so cute. And she was dressed so cute. She had these huge white puffy sleeves on this like black short cocktail dress. I was like, you really are so cute. Like she really is.
I think I like her so much because she's got that Italian girl energy. Like she's
100%.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Like she just gives me like young Marissa Tomei, and I love
her, and I love them as a couple. I love that like he loves her, like he smiles at her. Like I just think they're really cute, good vibe, and I think that he dresses amazing. Like I think that his hair looks great.
Yeah,
I'm into Craig.
Good. No, I saw him at BravoCon, and I sometimes forget that these people are on TV show and they're not like I sometimes treat them like characters. And so I went up to him and I was like, Craig, you were so awful these past couple of seasons. And like, I'm telling him what he did wrong and stuff. And I realized then halfway through, I was like, wait, he's like a real person. And I'm talking to him like this, but he was so cool about it. He's the nicest guy.
I just don't really engage with the ones that I'm critical of, because
did you run into Teresa? Because I know that Teresa fans don't like you, right?
They really don't like me, and I wish that they would understand. My complaints about her are more the people around her that she allows to be around her than they are her. Like, I root for Teresa a lot. I just think that it's unfortunate. I don't trust Louis. I'm sorry, I don't. And I think it's all very weird. And I also think, did you see that episode of Watch What Happens Live with Alexia and Garcelle?
Oh, well, no, I saw, she said Louis tried to get on it or something.
Well, she was like, well, we met when we were in Europe. I was with Todd. It wasn't weird. He came up. He obviously knew the show. And then she started talking about how he knew the show, et cetera. And this is before he met Teresa. So Garcelle was sitting there like, oh, he knew the show. And I think like, of course, there's a narrative here that he didn't know who Teresa was when they met, like, and all that stuff. I just think it's fishy.
Have they booked Alexia and Teresa together? Because I would like to see them together.
I would love that. I refer to them as like the regular Oreo and the vanilla Oreo.
I would love to see them on the girls' trip together or something. Like the two.
Yeah,
I just
totally.
think they're very similar, and like I think they could give like a good dynamic duo energy.
I think that they should do the next Crappy Lake.
Yes.
Teresa and Alexia would be a really good Crappy Lake. Although Teresa, obviously Alexia and Marisol is the Crappy Lake, but I don't know. I think having Teresa and Alexia would be so fun. Also, can I just say, this whole thing on Miami with Julia being like, oh, she doesn't want to stay in my room because I'm a lesbian. I don't think that's what it is. I think that Alexia just loves to room with Marisol.
Okay, hot take. I actually don't think Marisol and Alexia are as close as they pretend, or as close as the show presents them.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have proof of that. Yeah, I just feel that.
That's interesting.
That was the first question, Matthew, that I asked them on the Miami panel, because I had sort of heard rumblings about this idea. And so, like I said in that very first episode, if you remember, of this season of Miami, it felt like there was like a little underneath the surface
something was
Alexia
going on.
Marisol.
Yeah.
And I had heard some things, and I was like, oh, I think that might be a thing. And then I brought it up, and they both looked at me like I was crazy. But I still do believe there's something there that we're not all attuned to that maybe will come out at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's something there. But so I would like Teresa and Alex, and I also think it would be benefit Alexia and Marisol to sort of split that dynamic up a little bit on the show.
I hear you. I definitely hear you.
I know I'm keeping you too long. So any other thoughts about Housewives Bravo that you need to get off your chest while you're here in this safe space? Or anything at all,
I would say that there was some buzz on the floor at BravoCon about what's to come in Salt Lake City, and I can't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
If what I'm hearing is anywhere close to true, we are in for it. The reunion looks dropped today.
Are you allowed to share anything that? Okay.
I've officially been told too much. But I would say that what I could say is it lives up to the hype.
I'm excited.
It lives up to the hype. But someone officially told me too much, even though I kind of was like, don't tell me too much. I then was told too much. And so now I have like a knowledge is power advantage. And I refuse to use it today.
Yeah. You got to be careful. You know, I get it. I never know like what people are, who's telling me something that's real, or if I just read it online, or like it all kind of blends together in my head. So I never know kind of where I hear things.
It was like really weird to me that it was so bad amongst the Salt Lake City cast members at the end. So I don't know if I told you this, but I was supposed to do the Salt Lake City panel, and then it was canceled. And I was like, oh, I wonder why. And I was told that it's because they were doing the reunion like a couple of days later. But then it became very clear to me that it would not have been tenable to gather the cast together because of what's going on.
Wow. Well, and I think that was a big problem with the Jersey cast, is splitting them up for panels. And it's like, well, how do we have a show that we can't even have all these people on a panel together?
I think Jersey is going to be really interesting this year. I'm open to seeing how Jackie ends up being Teresa's friend. But it feels really odd to me. And I've always been a huge Jackie fan. And I don't think that will change, but I'm curious to see how this turns out, because I'm not getting it.
I fell in love with Jen Fessler at BravoCon, which was unexpected. Jen. Like, she was very chatty and like very super friendly, and just, I don't know. I just felt like she was so wonderful. Okay, Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time here. Tell everyone where they can get you have a vinyl available too, which is so great for vinyl collectors. I'm going to get the vinyl. I need to get the vinyl.
You let me know and I will just put my John.
No, I'm going to buy it and have you sign it.
Okay, good. You can get my vinyl at mattrogersofficial.com, where you can also find tour tickets. I am on tour all month. I'm going to be in LA at the Ace Hotel on December 21st.
Right before the holiday.
Yep. And then my last day is at Town Hall in New York on 12/23. I have all other dates listed on my website, and you can listen to the album on Spotify. And as always, my podcast is Las Culturistas with my bestie, Bowen Yang. Danny has an all-time great episode of our podcast that you can listen to if you're a Danny fan. And you can listen to that new episodes every Wednesday.
Thank you, Matt. And everyone go stream his album, buy the vinyl, get tour tickets, go support Matt wherever you can, because you are truly such a delight. And I'm so excited and proud. And not that it matters that I'm proud, but I get so excited when I see you popping up everywhere, because I just think you're so funny and lovely and everything. So
likewise, I'm really happy that I'm so happy for all the good things that are happening to you and everyone good.
Thank you. I know. I love you, Matthew.
Love you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye, Matt.